Have you ever found yourself pushing away the very thing your heart desperately wants? That's where I found myself, trapped between fear and possibility, between past wounds and future hopes. The first time Rosalind Parker walked into my office, the entire atmosphere changed. Not because she was breathtakingly beautiful, though she certainly was, but because she carried herself with a quiet confidence that commanded respect without demanding it. Her chestnut hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, and her emerald eyes held a depth of intelligence that was immediately apparent. "Thomas Bennett," she extended her hand. "I'm Rosalind Parker, your new regional director." I stood, suddenly aware of my rumpled shirt and the dark circles under my eyes from another sleepless night of single parenthood. "Welcome to Meridian Technologies, Ms. Parker." "Please, call me Rosie," she smiled, and something in my chest tightened. I had been the sales manager at Meridian for 5 years by then. After Claire died, work became my sanctuary, the one place where I wasn't defined by tragedy, where I wasn't the widower or the single dad. I was just Thomas, good at his job, reliable, focused. And focus was exactly what I needed that morning as Rosie outlined her vision for our department. I took meticulous notes, ignoring the way her presence seemed to fill every corner of the conference room. I had no space in my life for distraction, no matter how captivating. "I'd like to meet individually with each team leader this week," she announced as the meeting concluded. "Thomas, would tomorrow at lunch work for you?" "I usually work through lunch," I replied automatically. Her smile didn't falter. "Perfect. I'll bring sandwiches to your office." That first lunch meeting stretched into 2 hours. We discussed market strategies and client relationships, but somehow, between analytics and action plans, she extracted pieces of my personal life I rarely shared. "So it's just you raising your daughter?" she asked, her voice free of the pity I'd grown accustomed to. "Yes. Sophia is 14 now. It's been just us since she was 9. That can't be easy. We manage." I changed the subject back to quarterly projections. What I didn't tell her was how those 5 years had hollowed me out. How each morning I forced myself to be both mother and father to a girl who deserved so much more than my inadequate attempts. How each night I collapsed into bed, exhausted from maintaining the facade that I had everything under control. Over the following months, Rosie became an unexpected constant in my carefully structured life. She was brilliant at her job, transforming our struggling region into the company's top performer. She was fair but firm, innovative but practical. The team adored her, and I found myself admiring her leadership style despite my initial reservations. "You should join us for drinks Friday," she suggested one evening as we finished a presentation. "The whole team's going." "I can't. Sophia has a recital." Instead of the usual polite acceptance, Rosie paused. "What instrument does she play?" "Violin. She started after Claire died. Said she wanted to make beautiful things from sad feelings." Something flickered across Rosie's face. "That's profound for a child. She's always been old for her age." I gathered my papers, signaling the end of our conversation. "I'd love to hear her play sometime," Rosie said softly. I looked up, surprised. "Why?" "Because she sounds remarkable. And because I'd like to know the person who's so important to you." Her honesty disarmed me. "Maybe someday." That someday came sooner than I expected. 3 weeks later, I was rushing to leave work early for Sophia's parent-teacher conference when my car refused to start. "Car trouble?" Rosie appeared beside me in the parking garage. "I have to get to Sophia's school in 20 minutes. I slammed my palm against the steering wheel. "I'll drive you," she offered immediately. "That's not necessary." "Thomas." Her voice was firm. "Let someone help you for once." The drive to Westlake Academy was filled with my anxious directions and Rosie's calm reassurances. When we arrived, she made no move to leave. "I can wait here," she said. The conference might take an hour. She held up her tablet. I have plenty to keep me busy. I hesitated, then nodded. Thank you. When I emerged with Sophia beside me, Rosie was leaning against her car, scrolling through emails. She looked up and smiled, and for the first time, I saw her through my daughter's eyes, poised, beautiful, kind. You must be Sophia, she said, extending her hand. I'm Rosie Parker. I work with your dad. Sophia, normally shy around strangers, took her hand. Your dad's boss. He talks about you. I felt heat rise to my face. Sophia. Does he? Rossie's eyes danced with amusement. All good things, I hope. He says you're brilliant but stubborn, Sophia replied with teenage bluntness. To my relief, Rosie laughed. That's fair. Can we give you a ride home? I offered, feeling I owed her at least that much. Actually, Sophia interjected, we were going to get ice cream to celebrate my straight A's. You should come. Before I could formulate a polite decline, Rosie smiled. I'd love to, if your dad doesn't mind. Both women looked at me expectantly, and I found myself nodding. That evening at Coldstone Creamery marked a shift. Watching Rosie and Sophia discuss everything from classical music to climate change, I glimpsed a possibility I'd long since buried, a life not defined by loss, a family not bound by absence. The following Monday, Rosie appeared at my office door. I enjoyed Saturday, she said simply. Sophia hasn't stopped talking about you, I admitted. She wants to know if you'll come to her recital next month. Something like hope flickered across Rossie's face. I'd be honored. It's not a big deal, I backpedaled. Just a school thing. Thomas. She stepped closer. It is a big deal. She's inviting me into something important to her. That matters. I nodded, uncomfortable with her perception. I'll email you the details. The recital came and went. Rosie arrived with flowers for Sophia and sat beside me, her presence both comforting and unsettling. When Sophia played her solo, a haunting rendition of Massenet's Meditation, I saw tears in Rossie's eyes. She's extraordinary, she whispered. Yes, I agreed, my throat tight with pride and something else I couldn't name. Afterward, as we celebrated with dinner at Sophia's favorite restaurant, I watched my daughter bloom under Rossie's genuine interest. They discussed composers and techniques, and for the first time in years, I saw Sophia as more than my responsibility, I saw her as the remarkable young woman she was becoming. Dad never comes to these things alone, Sophia announced over dessert. Usually Grandma comes too, but she's visiting Aunt Sarah. Rosie glanced at me. Well, I'm glad I could fill in. You're much more fun than Grandma, Sophia declared, making us both laugh. That night, after tucking Sophia in, I sat alone in my living room, confronting the feelings I'd been avoiding. Rosie Parker was becoming important to us, to me, and that terrified me. The next day at work, Rosie appeared at my door, closing it behind her. I need to say something, she began, her usual confidence wavering. And I need you to just listen. I nodded, my stomach tightening. I have feelings for you, Thomas. I've tried to be professional, to be just your boss and maybe your friend, but I can't pretend anymore. Her words tumbled out in a rush. You're brilliant and kind and so dedicated to your daughter. You make me laugh, and you challenge me, and I find myself thinking about you constantly. The silence that followed felt endless. Rosie, I finally managed, I can't. Pain flashed across her face before she composed herself. May I ask why? It's complicated. Try me. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. You're my boss. Office relationships are messy. That's not it, she said quietly. Not really. I have Sophia to think about. Sophia adores me, and you know it. I stood, needing distance. I lost someone once. I won't, put myself or Sophia through that again. Understanding dawned in her eyes. You think loving someone new dishonors Claire's memory. I think loving someone new ends in more pain, I corrected. I've built a life that works. It's not perfect, but it's stable. Sophia and I are okay. Okay isn't the same as happy, Thomas. She moved toward the door. I respect your decision, but I want you to know something, I'm not going anywhere. Not as your boss, not as your friend. When you're ready to consider more, I'll be here. The weeks that followed were awkward but professional. Rosie kept her word, she treated me exactly as she had before, with respect and occasional friendly banter. If anything, she became more supportive, ensuring I could leave early for Sophia's events and accommodating my single-parent schedule. It was Sophia who confronted me first. Why don't you like Rosie? She demanded one evening as we washed dishes. What? Of course I like her. She's an excellent boss. Sophia rolled her eyes with teenage exasperation. Dad. She likes you. Likes you. And you're being weird about it. I nearly dropped a plate. How do you? I'm 14, not 4. I have eyes. She handed me a dripping bowl. And you like her too. You smile differently when she's around. It's not that simple, sophomore. Because of Mom? Her voice softened. I nodded, unable to speak. Dad. She turned to face me fully. Mom would want you to be happy. She told me that, you know. Before she died. My heart stuttered. What? She made me promise to make sure you didn't spend your life alone. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I was only 9, but I remember. She said, your daddy has so much love to give, Sophia. Don't let him keep it all locked away. I pulled her into my arms, my own tears falling into her hair. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because you weren't ready, she said with wisdom beyond her years. But I think maybe now you are. That night, I lay awake, Claire's words echoing through my daughter's memory. Had I been honoring Claire by closing myself off, or had I been betraying her final wish? The second time Rosie confessed her feelings was 3 months after the first. We were working late, preparing for a major client presentation. I still think about you, she said quietly as we gathered our materials. All the time. I looked up, caught off guard. Rosie. I know what you're going to say. She smiled sadly. But I promised myself I'd be honest with you. My feelings haven't changed. This time, I didn't immediately reject her. Instead, I asked, why me? You could have anyone. Because you see me, she answered simply. Not just the polished professional or the pretty face. You challenge me. You make me laugh. You've never once tried to impress me or take advantage of my position. I'm broken, Rosie. I've spent 5 years just trying to hold everything together. We're all broken in some way, she countered. That doesn't mean we don't deserve love. I shook my head. I can't give you what you want. You don't know what I want, she said gently. I'm not asking for promises or forever. I'm just asking for a chance, dinner, just the two of us. See where it leads. I need to think about it, I said finally. Her smile was worth the admission. That's not a no. It took me another month to agree to dinner. We went to a small Italian restaurant outside the city, away from curious colleagues. Rosie wore a simple blue dress that made her eyes shine, and for the first time, I allowed myself to really look at her, not as my boss, not as Sophia's friend, but as a woman who had somehow slipped past my defenses. Tell me about Claire, she said after our wine arrived. I nearly choked. What? She's important to you and Sophia. I'd like to know about her. No one had ever asked me that before. Friends and family avoided mentioning Claire, afraid to trigger my grief. But Rosie looked at me with genuine interest, not pity. So I told her. I told her how Claire and I met in college, how she loved thunderstorms and hated olives. How she sang off-key but with complete abandon. How she fought her cancer with grace and humor until the very end. She sounds remarkable, Rosie said when I finally fell silent. She was. I took a deep breath. But that's why it feels impossible. Because you loved her so much? Because I failed her, I admitted, the truth I'd never spoken aloud. I promised to protect her, to keep her safe, and I couldn't. What if I fail again? What if I let you down? Or worse, what if something happens to you and Sophia loses someone else she cares about? Rosie reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. Thomas, you didn't fail Claire. Cancer isn't something you could control or prevent. Logically, I know that, but your heart doesn't believe it, she finished. I understand. But here's what I believe, loving someone isn't a guarantee against pain. It's a choice we make despite knowing we might get hurt. How can you be so certain? I asked. Her smile was sad. Because I've been hurt before too. My fiancé left me 6 weeks before our wedding for his ex-girlfriend. I thought I'd never trust anyone again. I stared at her, this confident, successful woman, suddenly seeing the vulnerability she usually kept hidden. What changed? Time. And then I met you, this stubborn, loyal man who puts everyone else first. Who makes me laugh even when he's turning me down. Her eyes held mine. Some people are worth the risk, Thomas. That night, I drove her home and walked her to her door. When she turned to say goodnight, I surprised us both by leaning in to kiss her cheek. Thank you, I whispered. For not giving up on me. Her smile was luminous. I don't give up on things that matter. The third time Rosie confessed her feelings was on a rainy Sunday afternoon. She had joined Sophia and me for our weekly movie marathon, bringing homemade cookies and an easy warmth that filled our home. As Sophia dozed on the couch during our second film, Rosie turned to me. I'm falling in love with you, she said softly. With both of you, actually. The words hung between us, honest and unadorned. I'm scared, I admitted. I know. She took my hand. Me too. What if it doesn't work? What if it does, she countered. I looked at my sleeping daughter, then back at the remarkable woman beside me. I can't promise I won't mess this up. I'm not asking for perfection. Her fingers tightened around mine. Just possibility. For the first time in 5 years, I let myself imagine a future different from the careful existence I'd constructed. A future with laughter and partnership, with someone to share both burdens and joys. Okay, I said finally. Her eyes widened. Okay? I want to try. Us. This. I gestured between us. I'm still scared, and I'll probably panic at some point, but I want this. Her smile was worth every moment of fear. That's all I'm asking for. When Sophia woke up, she took one look at our joined hands and broke into a knowing grin. Finally, she declared. I was starting to think I'd have to lock you two in a closet or something. We both laughed, and something tight in my chest began to loosen. The months that followed weren't perfect. We had disagreements about work boundaries and parenting approaches. I sometimes pulled away when intimacy felt overwhelming, and Rosie occasionally grew frustrated with my caution. But beneath it all was a growing foundation of trust and genuine affection. Sophia blossomed with Rossi's influence, gaining confidence and developing interests beyond music. Our home. I apologize for not completing the story. Let me continue from where I left off. Our home gradually transformed from a place of quiet routine to one filled with spontaneous laughter and new traditions. Rosie never tried to replace Claire. Instead, she helped create space where Claire's memory could exist alongside our new happiness. The fourth time Rosie confessed her feelings was on the anniversary of Claire's death. I had taken the day off work as I always did, planning to visit the cemetery with Sophia. When I opened my front door that morning, Rosie stood there holding coffee and pastries. "I don't expect to join you today," she said quietly. "I just wanted you to know I'm here if you need anything." The thoughtfulness of her gesture, understanding the importance of this day without trying to insert herself into it, broke something open inside me. "Would you come with us?" I asked, surprising myself. "Sophia would like it. And I think I would too." At the cemetery, Rosie stood back respectfully as Sophia and I placed fresh flowers on Claire's grave. When Sophia stepped away to give me a moment alone, Rosie joined her, their heads bent together in quiet conversation. Standing before Claire's headstone, I felt a strange peace settle over me. "I think you'd like her," I whispered. "She takes care of us, but not because she thinks we're broken. She sees all the parts of me, even the difficult ones, and stays anyway." I touched the cool marble. "I'll always love you. But I think maybe I can love her too, without diminishing what we had." When I rejoined them, Rosie slipped her hand into mine. "Okay?" she asked softly. I nodded, squeezing her fingers. "Better than okay." That evening, after Sophia went to bed, I told Rosie what I'd realized at the cemetery. "I've been afraid that loving you meant betraying Claire. But today I understood that love doesn't work that way. It's not finite. It grows." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "Thomas. I love you, Rosie. I've probably loved you for months, but I was too scared to admit it." Her smile was radiant through her tears. "I love you too. So much." Our relationship deepened after that day. Rosie began spending more nights at our house than at her apartment. We developed routines and inside jokes. We argued about dishwasher loading techniques and movie choices. We built something real and imperfect and wonderful. The fifth time Rosie confessed her feelings was on an ordinary Tuesday evening. We were cooking dinner together while Sophia practiced violin in the living room. Rosie was chopping vegetables, humming along with Sophia's music, when she suddenly set down her knife. "Move in with me," she said. "Or let me move in here. I don't care which. I just want to wake up with you every morning and go to sleep beside you every night." I looked at this woman who had patiently dismantled all my defenses, who had shown me that love wasn't something to fear but something to embrace. "I have a better idea," I said, reaching into the drawer where I'd hidden a small velvet box weeks ago, waiting for the right moment. "Marry me." Her eyes widened as I dropped to one knee. "Thomas. You've asked me for a chance 5 times now. It's my turn to ask." I opened the box, revealing the emerald ring that had reminded me of her eyes. "Rosalind Parker, will you marry me? Will you build a life with Sophia and me? Will you help me show her what real love looks like?" "Yes," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Yes to all of it." Sophia's violin stopped abruptly, followed by the sound of running feet. She burst into the kitchen, took one look at us, and launched herself into a group hug. "Finally," she exclaimed, echoing her reaction from months before. We laughed through our tears, the 3 of us tangled together in the kitchen, a family formed not by obligation but by choice. Our wedding was small and perfect, held in the backyard of the home we now shared. Sophia played violin as Rosie walked down the aisle. During the ceremony, we included a moment of remembrance for Claire, lighting a candle in her honor. "She brought me you," I told Sophia during my vows, "and she taught me how to love." That love didn't die with her, it grew and changed and eventually made space for Rosie too. Life isn't perfect. We still face challenges. Sophia is navigating teenage years with all their complexities. Rosie and I sometimes struggle to balance our professional and personal relationships. There are days when grief resurfaces unexpectedly. But we face it all together now. The woman who refused to give up on me, the daughter who helped me find courage, and me, a man who finally learned that the heart's capacity for love is limitless. If you're watching this and something in our story resonates with you, remember, sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't facing danger, it's opening yourself to possibility. It's saying yes to love, even when you're afraid. It's allowing yourself to be happy again. Like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories of second chances and unexpected love. Because sometimes, the most beautiful chapters of our lives